For my screening of Disclosure Day, I sat next to a couple who hated this movie and who so often let their disgust be known with a snicker at every single amazing thing that happened during it. Unbelievable things happening during an alien movie. Pretty wild, I know. And I can understand why. Disclosure Day is an earnest movie for audiences programmed to love irony by movies that self-deprecate at every chance they get. This is going to be black licorice for them. But if you're willing to get on Disclosure Day's wavelength, to not immediately dismiss everything as cornball just because it's sincere, I think you're in for a real treat. Regardless of its quality, Disclosure Day felt like required viewing because it's potentially the last movie from one of the all-time greats, and it's a reminder that he still has some greatness left within him. From multiple fantastic additions to the collection of understated Spielberg wonders to pitch-perfect set pieces he has no right having such good control over at age 79, he still exceeds at directing what he's always been good at. He remains a master at both conjuring wonder and directing his actors to sell the wonderful, and as usual, John Williams is there to make the most exceptional moments all the more indelible. A pair of frames here also deserve to go into his personal pantheon. The one of Jane's eyes leering at Daniel, and the close-up on Hugo's hand, which brilliantly evokes the idea of the hand of God, have to be among his best ever. Fabelman's, in contrast, felt like it only had one standout shot in it, and it required a whole scene's worth of build-up with John Ford to make it mean anything. This latest effort is a much-needed reminder the man can still put out an expressive image together and wordlessly contribute to the overarching themes of the film. Between Caught Stealing, One Battle After Another, and The Running Man, 2025 was the year of the chase movie, and yet none of those movies are as intent on interweaving excitement and pontification like this one is. One Battle, of course, has political ideas in it, but so many of them fall to the wayside due to the furiousness of the pursuit of Willa. It is satisfied to just be a chase movie for a bit. The same can't really be said of Disclosure Day. There's of course a great deal of movement in it, but you never go too long without a conversation that addresses either the friction between the possibility of life beyond Earth and the world's belief in a superior being, or how humanity would self-sabotage in the wake of such information. David Koepp may have earned himself his own rung of hell by writing Jurassic World Rebirth last year, but his inventions are largely why this $100 million plus blockbuster is as thought-provoking as it is. The powers of the crystal allow Colin Firth's character to have conversations with Jane and Hugo that prod at the concepts I just mentioned, even when these characters are physically apart. And Fairchild's powers enable Spielberg to replace what otherwise would have been a harebrained escape sequence with a briefer, more emotional encounter. Koepp's version of the Book of Genesis also deserves special mention. In Genesis, a husband and wife rob future humans of paradise. It's not lost on me that Koepp resists making Daniel and Margaret analogous to Adam and Eve, but instead draws connection between them and another duo that feels ancient at this point, Hansel and Gretel. And so, while the story of Genesis sees a pair of lovers fail, with the woman plunging the world into sin, Disclosure Day sees a pair of effective siblings overcome, with the woman rescuing the world from the brink of destruction. Again, probably worth mentioning this is in an $100 million plus summer alien movie. It's honestly wrong. It's screwed up that I've been this far into the review and have not mentioned Emily Blunt, who mesmerized me in Sicario, has killed every role she's taken on since, but has too often been confined to either the wife or the love interest. This has been the Emily Blunt performance I've been waiting my entire life to see, and she is sensational. When you think about this type of character, someone who starts off normal and then gains powers, like in the movies Limitless or Lucy, there's a very clear before and after for those characters. Cooper and Johansson act a certain way in their respective movies' opening segments, and then a switch flips. The qualities they had as people pre-powers evaporate, and new ones take their place. Cooper's character turns into charisma incarnate. Johansson's character becomes robotic. They more or less deliver two separate performances. This is not just the way these performances are ordinarily handled. The same is true of possession in horror movies. We literally just saw an example of this last month with Obsession. There is a fine dividing line between real and fake Nikki, and that's usually the choice that every single actor playing a character remotely like this makes. The genius of Blunt's performance, and the reason I believe it is the first this year to unequivocally deserve a nod from the Academy, is that she chooses to not firmly split her character in two. The bubbly meteorologist we see in her apartment doesn't disappear once the cardinal comes through the window. She's still there at the hospital, and when she's trying to break her phone, and when she's ridiculing Kellner for his driving. She layers this new sense of serenity onto who she already is. She doesn't substitute the old version of herself with a new version, and thus the performance is unlike anything I've seen before. The decision to play it like this character has a heightened sense of serenity is itself praiseworthy, as actors usually take the idea of omniscience to mean they should play their part in a more machine-like way. Blunt, meanwhile, is more so playing her character like she's on a very light and pleasant drug trip, and even then that description is a disservice to her performance because drug trip implies some lack of control. And Margaret is in control in her scenes, not necessarily of the present situation, but of her own faculties and what's happening to her. It's not like something overrides her when she reads into someone's past and then she all of a sudden snaps back to her normal self when it's over. It's clear Margaret is working with her newfound power, not being overtaken by it. Given the admiration Blunt herself expressed for Meryl Streep's performance in The Devil Wears Prada in a New York Times interview back in April, I have to imagine she endeavored to do the same thing that Streep did in that movie. Take a character that almost all of Hollywood plays a particular way and do the complete opposite. It's a marvel what she does here, and I am ready for this campaign. And for as much as this is an Emily Blunt vehicle, I liked everyone else. Special shoutouts to Wyatt Russell for being memorable, even in the short amount of time he has to work with, an incredibly game Colin Firth, who really brings a lot of vigor to this villain performance, and Coleman Domingo, whose voice and line delivery electrify lines that in another actor's hands would have been boring as all sin. Also, shout out to the casting team for realizing that there's no better voice in Hollywood right now for delivering exposition than Mr. Domingo's. As for the bad, let's start with those CGI animals, because they looked bad from the first moment we saw them in the teaser and remain an eyesore. The idea that they're supposed to look uncanny because they're a projection from the aliens is a lame excuse. I'm not saying they needed to be photorealistic, but they can't look like they're out of the Polar Express. It's a shame that whenever I watch this in the future, they're always going to be there to take me out of the experience, just like they did the first time around. As for the ending, it's a semi-debacle. I say semi because I did find the mechanics of getting this news story to go national compelling. I can't think of another director who would have gone into the production control room in both Kansas City and New York and chart beat by beat how this information would have been dispersed. The final shot I also found to be a cool reach through the fourth wall from Spielberg, but some of these other decisions are brutal. I got what he was going for using the most conventional design of aliens possible, but even in black and white footage, the extraterrestrials are not convincing in the slightest. They look like a prop out of a Spirit Halloween, and even I had to join in laughing with that couple beside me because of how bad the misfire was. There's also no reason for Wardex to not just barge in there and seize everyone at the news station. When they let Kellner and Fairchild go earlier in the film, there's at least the reason that they will lead Wardex to the location of Hugo and his comrades. But at the news station, there's no reason to stand idly by and just count on the generator plan to work. They should be busting down doors and taking everyone hostage. I'm game to suspend disbelief, apparently a lot more than other viewers were, but Wardex's irrationality taints the conclusion, even if it has some redeeming qualities. Disclosure Day may not be worthy of the clickbaity Spielberg's best movie in blank years headline that some publications felt obligated to include, but I found it a captivating movie that's way smarter than it has any right to be. It's a movie that simultaneously pays tribute to what Spielberg's done and has him pushing forward into uncharted territory. So many individuals brought their A-game to this, and I can rest easy at night knowing that across 6 different decades in filmmaking, the man has now delivered greatness in each.